Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I'm also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over ways that, unfortunately, your parents may have traumatized you without you or even them, but especially you, without realizing it. Okay, so you don't realize that your parents traumatize you in these specific ways. You might recognize that you grew up in a home where it was less than ideal. Perhaps you've experienced a lot of things that no child or person should have ever experienced, but maybe you don't realize how much the trauma affects you day to day. And I want to talk about ways that your parents showed up in your childhood that was not normal and you didn't realize it was not normal. And when I'm working with patients, unfortunately, this is pretty common. So even if a lot of these do not fit your criteria, it does not mean that you weren't traumatized. These are pretty specific, and I'm going to continue to make more, but I did want to share that with you because I think a lot of times when I'm practicing, a lot of my patients don't realize this is not normal. And so that's why I wanted to make this video, because I think a lot of people don't know. So I wanted to share that with you. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The very first one is, and I'm not shaming anybody for this, but it is very, very common, is that your parent or parents or whoever it is, caregiver, brought home different partners every now and again, basically meaning you were in the presence of strangers as a young child very often. And it also, the reason why this is traumatic is because you don't realize or don't see relationships as something stable. You're seeing a stranger all the time. This stranger could have harmed you. I have had patients where unfortunately they've had unfortunate circumstances because of this. It also shows me that the parent did not vet this person enough if there's just so many different people. You're not thinking about your child. You're thinking about probably yourself, which I find that to be concerning as a therapist. I would imagine that parents put their child in the forefront. And if this child is seeing so many different individuals coming into their house, they're thinking that love is not stable, or that love is something I have to compete with. I have to compete with this new individual to get my mom or dad's love. I'm not enough. I gotta, stay quiet in the corner while my mom or dad does whatever with this person. My feelings aren't important, right? And so this child is becoming traumatized. They're not seeing stability. They're not seeing healthy foundations of families. The next one is their parents, the parent or caregiver, took out their emotional dysregulation onto you. So they were in a really bad mood. They had a really bad day and you didn't do anything, but you were there, right? You're the innocent child. And so they can take that out on you. They don't need to regulate themselves. Sometimes they don't realize this is what they're subconsciously thinking. They can just take the frustration out on you. It doesn't mean anything. You're a kid. You can't do anything. You can't walk away. You're helpless. And so they're in a bad mood. They had a bad day, and you probably as a child didn't even realize that's what happened. In your mind, you thought they were just unstable. They were just yelling for no reason, but something probably happened, big or small, and they just took it out on you. And if you remember your memories, you might realize, yeah, maybe my, mom and dad, whatever, whoever it was sometimes in a good mood, sometimes in a bad mood. Well, this is probably the reason why. When they were emotionally dysregulated, they took it out on you. And that can be very frustrating. An example of being taken out on you could be they yelled at you. Could be they started nitpicking you more often. They could have criticized you more often. They could have made fun of you out of the blue in a bad mood, and you're their emotional punching bag. And I'm really sorry if this happened to you. I'm sorry if any of this has happened to you, okay? The next one, I personally find this one to be particularly unfortunate. All of them are, so I probably shouldn't even said that. But I think the reason why is children don't realize how much this affects them so much in their relationships, in their marriage, in their self-worth. And that is that your parents gave you the silent treatment. How silly, and there's definitely better words to say that, but how silly and even manipulative a parent has to be to give a child, like a little child, the silent treatment. Can you imagine what that looks like? As a kid, you don't realize how strange this looks like. When you're as an adult, try and reflect, like literally, let's say a 40-year-old, 30-year-old, 20-year-old even person, 50-year-old, whatever the age doesn't matter, but an adult is giving a little kid the silent treatment. Like, why? Why would you make a child responsible and feel punished when they don't know any better. The child probably doesn't understand. A little child, they probably, tried to make their parent happy. Maybe they begged helplessly, whatever it is. And that's sad because this child now, what have they learned? They learned that if I'm being ignored, I have to continuously reach out and try and make this person happy because this person is mad at me. This person is going to punish me. Who knows what happens next? And so they're trying to make their parent happy because this is just a kid. And then the reason why this one can even be, all of them are very disturbing, but this one I find to be sad and very disturbing because what ends up happening is the child may stay with abusers who do the same thing, who then the child now as an adult think it's okay. And so they're searching for love. Actually, all of these, more likely, you may tend to go towards abusive partners. And I'm a doctoral student, I mentioned that. And relationships is where I really focus a lot of the research that I'm looking into and things I'm learning for. So I look at things from a more relational lens because I think marriage is very healthy for a lot of people. And when you see how these affect your marriage, your life, your friendships, you can see how truly traumatizing this is. Even the first one, we mentioned different partners. You start realizing anyone can just leave me, or I'm not important, or maybe my parents, or maybe I always have to have different partners because no one's ever enough. It can be anything. And that destroys the family and life you could have had just because your parents didn't treat you right. The next one is that your parent blamed you for what the other parent or someone else did. Like you, a kid, you're being blamed for something an adult did. Or maybe their job, like something you have no control of. You were blamed. Let's say we have a mom. Let's give an example, okay? Just purely an example, okay, folks? And I don't know, she's very emotional. She's very, maybe she struggles with accountability, right? I'm not picking on moms. Dads do the same thing, right? And let's say dad, emotionally unavailable and does not communicate his emotions. And one day he just left. He left. He never came back, okay? And so mom feels blamed or abandoned. And so who's she going to blame? You. It was your fault. We were fine before you were born. Or he left because you were born, or you were too much. You were too difficult. You were too needy. Or, I'm always stressed because I have to take care of you. And now I'm alone and I'm a single mom and I have nobody and you're the reason I can't get married again. And so you're the fault. You didn't do anything. You're just a kid. But it's your fault. Your parent now can't get remarried because you're a kid that wasn't asked to be born, and your dad left and he should have communicated properly, but it's not your fault. You didn't do anything. And sometimes maybe it could be that you look like this parent. So now it's even more your fault because they're just so dysregulated that they're going to put that on you because you look like this person. Maybe your mom was bullied by her sister and you look like her sister, your aunt, and now you're blamed for that. You're a bad person, whatever it is. And you feel trapped. As a child, you want to make your parent happy. And so what happens? Again, we were talking about a lot of these individuals might be more comfortable getting abused. Not your fault. It's not your fault. In fact, we're talking about whose fault it kind of is, to be honest, because you're used to being blamed for something you didn't do and trying to make amends. Okay, let me fix that. Let me try and make it better, right? You're always trying to do that. So the next one is your parent got angry at you for not understanding things that are adult things, right? Paying the bills, maybe dating, adult struggles. And your parent got angry at you. You don't know how expensive this is. You don't know how much I work. You don't understand how difficult men are. You don't know how women are. Women always leave me. And so they're angry at you. They're putting anger on you. How come you don't understand? Stop using the washing machine. Like, stop drinking. Stop drinking water. Stop eating food. Stop running the, shower. Stop taking so long. You don't understand how much the bills cost. And so you're blamed. You're yelled at. They're angry at you. But how old are you? Again, you were a kid. How are you going to know? And your parent doesn't realize that. They were dysregulated. They were probably traumatized too. But now what's happening is they are traumatizing you. And so those are 5 ways that your parent traumatized you without you even realizing it. Okay? So I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.